Welcome to 12 Minutes or Less with the Author. I'm your host, T.L. Brown, but you can call me Tracy. Let's get started. Welcome. I'm so excited because today our featured guest is indie author Lisa Valentine. She's the spicy paranormal romance author of the Wanderer series and the standalone novel Little Crow. Lisa often includes trauma or triggering real life events in her work, so check those trigger warnings. She lives in the northwest of England and loves all things weird and witchy. Lisa, it's about time I've had you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on the podcast today.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into the questions. First, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started as an author? What or who inspired you to write and publish your stories?
So I've been published for about 10 years. I was a very sickly child. I was very sick and straight from high school, and I read a lot of books and found myself with a lot of time to fill. So I got into the bookish world very early on. I filled my time with stories, um, very much a witchy person. I liked all things magical. Didn't really get into the spicy side of things until stereotypical, like when E.L. James came along and she made it a little bit more normal. She brought the taboo like into the mainstream. So I read a lot. I read a lot of books, had a lot of time to fill, and found myself not able to find the book that I wanted to read. So I thought, and I'd read a book and I'd think, this ending annoyed me, this character annoyed me, and I wouldn't have wrote it like that. And I thought to myself, I could totally write a book. I could totally do this. And so I started to write. And what turned into a three-part series, which is not published in this name, it's published in Lisa Jones, my previous name. That became my first published series. And yeah, it kind of went from there. But I think I was very much inspired by the indie books I found. The indie books were a little bit more magical, a little bit more gritty. But yeah, the mainstream books that I grew up reading, although I loved them, they didn't have as much of an impact as the indie world that I found. So yeah, I think having so much time to fill, being in hospital, having treatment, doing whatever, I needed somewhere to escape to. So books were my escape. So that's where it came from.
Oh, that is fantastic. I'm sorry that you were sickly as a young person. You're still a young person, but as a child. But I am glad that you took that experience and gave us your creative work. So let's talk about some of that
Mhm.
creative work. When I read Forbidden, the
Mhm.
first book in the Wanderer series, I recognized a thread of fragility woven through self empowerment. And that is something that really resonated with me as a reader and a writer. As you write, what are the themes you try to include, and how do you hope to impact your readers?
I think every female, because I write from like my point of view, first person point of view, I write as a part of myself. No matter what series I've written, it's always been a version of me, whether I've done it subconsciously or not. But the Wanderer series in particular, Melody, she's always going to be my favorite character I've ever written. She's very so my ex-husband, when we divorced, he listed what he hated about me. And I remember that conversation as if it was yesterday. And I wrote Melody with every point that he didn't like about me. And I I wrote it initially probably to, you know, to be a little bit like petty, but she turned into this character that sort of resonated with everybody that read her, you know, that experienced her. She was incredibly impulsive and outspoken, and she was great. She was everything that I'd hated about myself for years, and everything that I then championed in everybody else. I think the themes that I always try and write with, um, it always seems to be authenticity straight away. Whoever you are, it will come through whether you try or not. Whether you try and hide it, your authenticity is going to come through. Deeply flawed characters. I love a deeply flawed character because we're all flawed. And I think that my own flaws are exactly what makes me relatable, authentic. And then my main characters seem to then mirror who that is. I always seem to write found family as well. And I think that's because I don't have a huge family. And my friends or the people that I connect with have always been family to me, and they always will. So found family, and I always seem to write a type of love that's like soul touching, soul shattering. I am not a big personal like affection person. I don't like hugs. I don't like being touched. I don't like anything like that. But I like that. I'm not surface level either. So if I care about a person, I will like devote myself to them, that's my person. You know, if I do let you close to me, if I do trust you enough to let you close to me, then that's something that is it's important to me. So I think focusing on a person's like fractures or their flaws, it then evolves into everything to me: relationships, love, the story, your authenticity, your values. So to me it's very much a what I didn't like about myself, what I thought were weaknesses, I will then champion in my main female lead because I think, you know, it shines through.
And it does. And
Mhm.
I love flawed characters myself. Melody, it's funny. I don't see her so much as flawed. I
No.
loved her so much. But I do understand your perspective. Let me ask you though, what is your current or next writing project? What can we look forward to seeing from you in the future?
So I've got a book. The name is still it's we're still playing with the name, but it's complete the book. It's she's going through her very last like edits. It's took 2 years for me to write this book. It's magical, spicy again. It's very witchy. It focuses on tarot because that's what I do in my spare time. I read tarot, and again, it's just another version of me. Who I'm writing as now is like the evolution of who I become since the melody phase. So yeah, I think within the next few months, I'm probably going to have a new release. So I'm excited. Yeah, nervous because it's been 2 years since I've released anything. So nervous.
Oh, I'm sure though your fans are going to just eat it up. So I look forward to that. And when that's coming out, you got to let me know so that we could shout it from the rooftops.
Absolutely.
I will join you in doing that for sure. That's all the time we have for today. Uh, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me. I'm
Very
so
well. Thank
grateful
you
that you
so
made
much for
time
having
today.
me. Thank you.
Good, good, good. We will do this again. We will do it again.
Definitely.
Listeners, watchers, where can you find Lisa Valentine? Well, you can find her books on Amazon and links below to her Amazon UK bookstore and her Amazon US uh, page as well. With social media, you can find her on Instagram and she is Lisa Valentine underscore 89. And then you can also find her on TikTok. And if you are on Discord, you can find her at MS Lisa V. All those links and info are below in the caption. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening, and I will see you the next time. Bye. This has been 12 Minutes or Less with the author. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Hope you can join me for the next one. Until then, this is Tracy, aka Author T.L. Brown, signing off.